it's Laura from Worditude and I am here with another video. This week I'm talking to you about the mid-launch lull, what it is and how you can survive it. Is that a bit better? Let's just get that. How's that? There we go, and hopefully the light will stop flashing. I'll just grab my notes. So the mid-launch lull is a real thing, and I have helped so many entrepreneurs with their launches now. I don't know, I mean dozens, we must be into hundreds of launches that I've been holding the hand of a business owner through, either because I wrote the copy for the page for them or the email sequence or both, or because they've been a member of my VIP group. So I have got a second-hand, it's not first-hand experience because they weren't my launches, but second-hand experience of hundreds of launches. And I'm talking mostly online products, but it works with physical products too. But it's anything where you've got a launch pattern where you have like the doors open and then they're open for a few days and then they're going to close. Even if you're going to do your product availability as an evergreen sales funnel in the future, I tend to recommend you do this kind of doors open, doors closed for the very first launch, kind of getting your wave of beta people. So it's something that most entrepreneurs are going to experience at some point. And the pattern that I typically see happen is that the doors open and there's been a great amount of build up, maybe a wait list, and the cart opens or the doors open. The product is available to buy, and on day one there's a really encouraging flurry of people who buy. So depending on the price point, if it's a high-end product, you know, by flurry I might mean 3 people. If it's a lower end product, you might be talking about a dozen people or more come in within that first 24 hours. And then I see what happen is sometimes the business owner gets a bit carried away. I know I've done it, and start thinking like, oh wow, if I sell this many per day for my 5-day launch period, I'm going to make this much money, I'm going to have this many people through the door, it's going to be like this much of a success. And we kind of get a bit carried away, counting our chickens a long time before they're ready to hatch. And then what happens is, so for usually it's like a 5-day, the cart is open for 5 days. And then around day 2 and day 3, things start to get really quiet and might not make any sales at all. And the business owner starts to kind of despair. They wonder what they've done wrong. Are they ever going to make any sales? And then on the last day, and they go all out for like their last minute pushes of trying to get people to sign up. And then they make probably double as many sales on the last day as they did on the first day, or as they have done like put together. So that's a pretty common pattern of selling pattern. You sell a good chunk on day 1, there's almost nothing in the middle, and then a really good chunk of people join or buy on the last day. And that's because what happens is your most eager beavers, so the people that have been really excited to buy from you, buy straight away. They don't need any further selling. They're already ready to buy the minute that the cart opens. As soon as you'll say, hand me your money, they're willing to give it to you because they've had a long time to think this over and they've already decided this is the right thing for them. Anyone who doesn't buy on that day 1 still needs convincing, and time alone is not what's going to convince them. They're not, as they move from day 1 to day 2, nothing's really changed. If they didn't buy on day 1, why would they buy on day 2? When they get to day 3, they didn't buy on day 1 or day 2. Why are they going to buy on day 3? Still nothing has changed. And that's what happens on the last day, is something has changed, because suddenly the realization that, if I don't buy this now, I can't have it at all. It's going to be taken away. The people who are like me, I'm a last minute person. I really struggle to make a decision unless it's the last minute. I struggle with deadlines unless it's the last minute. I suddenly get like a wave of energy or adrenaline at the last minute, and I'm able to do something that I didn't think I could do before. So those kind of people will buy on the last day. But in between, between day 1 and the last day, in that middle of your launch period, it gets really quiet. And because nothing has changed between you launching the sales page unless you do something about it. And I've been through so many launches with people holding their hands that I thought I would share with you, firstly, that this is a real thing and that it exists. So the first time it happens to you and you get to day 2 and you're thinking, what have I done? Nobody's bought anything today. I should just jack it in and get a job. It's been a complete waste of time. Like, don't despair. This is completely normal. And a huge part of my job is just holding people's hands and going, this is normal. This will happen. There are other things we can do to generate sales, but this is a fairly typical buying pattern. So I wanted to share with you that it's a real thing, so you don't freak out if it happens to you. And then I've got 4, which is annoying because I like 3 or 5 tips, but I've got 4 tips of things that you can do during that mid-launch lull to help you maintain your sanity, and also to be putting as much effort as you can towards driving those all-important sales before the cart closes. So the first one is kind of just don't panic over it. And the most important thing is you need to keep up appearances. So I'm not about being fake. So don't lie and say that you're getting sales when you're not. But it's so tempting to share on even on your private, like Facebook, or what you consider to be your private social media accounts, that you're having a tough time, or even in like business groups that you're in, that you're really struggling with this, or that you're disappointed that sales are not going the way that you want them to do. But the problem is everyone's watching, and it's not just potential buyers that are watching you at this point. People who are considering whether they'd like to collaborate with you in future, do some kind of joint content production with you or joint promotion. People are watching, not just potential buyers, and they are looking to see how you handle this, and looking to see like what kind of person are you in this moment of pressure, what's going to happen. And if you start posting really negative stuff or coming across as if you don't believe in yourself, or that you think that you've lucked out, or in some way that this is unfair, it's going to put off not just buyers but other people who are interested in you in some kind of business capacity. So I think it's fairly important that you have someone that you can talk to about this, and in my experience that's very rarely friends or family or people in real life that love you, because the minute you say, I'm not sure this is working, they'll hand you a job application for like the nearest supermarket or somewhere where you can get be paid cash for hours, so that you know you're going to get paid for the work you do. So don't speak to people in real life unless you know that they're great for that kind of support. Just surround yourself. You need like 2 or 3 really great business friends who know this environment, who know what it's like, who you can speak to privately or message privately, who are going to get you through this difficult time, or your business coach, or if you're one of my VIPs, me, I will just hold your hand and get you through it. So find support. And so my top tip, the first tip, is find support, but make sure it's from the right place, and be very careful what information you're sharing publicly at this most difficult time during your launch. My second tip is focus on the people that have bought from you and get in touch with them, because they are full of valuable information. Now, depending on how well you know them, you don't want to be pumping them for information really hard if you don't already have an existing relationship with them, if they seem pretty new to you. So you're going to have to use your judgment on this. But ideally, what you'd like to get from them is some indication of what is the thing that they most want to get out of their working relationship with you. Like, what is the reason that they bought? What are they looking forward to? What's the goal they're hoping to achieve? You'd like to find out, is there anything that happened during that sales process? So from your emails or your sales pages, was there anything from the promotion period that they were concerned about? Was there anything that put them off, where they thought, I don't know if this is right for me? Because you might be missing something there, that you've sent a mixed message. And these people who've already bought, so by asking the question, you're not jeopardising the sale because you've already got it, but they'll have some really useful information there for you. And the other thing is to ask them, is there anything that you can do for them right now? So if you're having a conversation or you're sending them an email, make sure that actually the focus and the close of that conversation is about you doing something for them, because they've just spent money with you, so they're expecting good things from you. So your information gathering should be secondary to that, but it is useful to have. And what you can do from that with that information is, if you get permission to tag them on social media, that can be great, because you could do, if you've got a free group, you can post in there, or you can post your Facebook page or wherever you're active on social media, and just say, like, I've just, you know, spoken with tag the name. I'm really excited to get started with this program to help her do whatever, and then say something positive about the person or their business, so that social media post is something that they'd be prepared to share because it's showing them in a good light. So that's one thing you can do following your conversation with them. The other thing is go back to your sales page and see if there's anything, or the sales process, if there was anything that they said that wasn't working for them and nearly put them off the sale, you need to adjust that. And what was the last thing? Oh yes, and then you're going to make sure that the emphasis on that you do something to help them at the end of it. So don't just be pumping them for information. That's really important, that we're not just using those people that have bought from you. You want them to come away from even this first interaction with a positive experience and that they're still excited to work with you. The third thing that you need to do during this mid-launch lull is, even though you spent hours and hours writing your sales page and your email sequence and you thought that you had it nailed and you're really pleased with what you've done, there will still be room for improvement. So go back and have a look particularly at your FAQs page and see, are there any questions that people have been asking you about the product or package on social media or via email? Is there any kind of recurring themes coming up where you can see that maybe the sales page hasn't addressed that point as clearly as it could do? And then add that information into the sales page and into an FAQ section on your sales page. If you don't have an FAQ section on your sales page, add one in at this point, because it's another, even if you find just repeating yourself with information that is already put out on your sales page, there are people who are skim readers who aren't going to read the block of content at the top, and they're just going to go straight for the FAQs. Or there's people that take in information in different formats, and for many people that Q&A format of, they see the question is relevant as something that they want to know the answer to, and then they read the answer, is much easier to absorb the information like that than it is when it's in a big block of text in the first page of the sales page. So if you don't have an FAQ section, add it. And then what works well is if you send an email out to your email list, and it's less salesy, so it's reminding them that the cart is open, but instead of adding any kind of pressure or encouraging them to buy, what you're doing is saying, these questions have come up, so I've added an FAQ section, or these questions have come up, here they are, these are the questions that I've most commonly been asked, and here are the answers, and if you've got any questions that I haven't addressed here, then get back to me. And it's really important to open that dialogue with your audience, because very rarely actually will someone who's got a question, even if they want to buy and they've got a question, people feel so intimidated about sending an email and saying, I don't understand how this works. Nobody likes to say, I don't understand this, or I have a question, or I don't know, or I'm confused. It's you know, asking people to be really vulnerable by expecting them to come forward and say, I don't understand. So if someone is brave enough to come to you and ask the question, the chances are there are 5 to 10 people lining up behind them that had exactly the same question, but they didn't ask you. So it's really important that even if just one person raises a question, you take that seriously and look at your materials and make sure you've made that information clear enough. Because if one person's brave enough to ask you, there are plenty of others that are wondering the same thing and they'd like to buy from you, but they're not going to buy because they don't understand. And so just listen to that one brave voice who was, and appreciate them for coming forward as well. Like you know, so many times people email me, they're really apologetic and say, oh, I'm sorry, I know this is probably covered on the sales page, you've probably mentioned this. So make sure you go out of your way to reassure them that actually you really appreciate that they got in touch with you and that the onus is on you to communicate that information clearly. So that was number 3. That was the third thing you can do during this mid-launch lull. And the last one, can't believe I'm going to end on an even number. I like it to be 3 or 5, but I couldn't think of another one. So number 4, the fourth thing that you can do during the mid-launch lull, and this is, it's not a cheat as such, but you could, because launch is kind of manic time, you could prepare this beforehand. You could have a fairly good idea of what you wanted to do and then save it for mid-launch. But something that's really useful to add mid-launch is an objection bonus. So it's bonus material that overcomes a particular objection. So first of all, I just want to give my thoughts on bonuses, very often I see bonuses that are taken away during the launch period. So if you buy on day 1 to 3, you get all 3 bonuses, and then they're going away by day 4, or and to me that makes no sense. If they didn't buy on day 1, then they're not going to buy on day 2. Maybe the fear of losing those bonuses would pressure people into buying it. But once those bonuses have gone away, there's going to be your audience know that if they'd bought earlier, they could have had this bonus, but now they're not going to get it. They're just going to want your launch period to be over so that they're not having their noses rubbed in the fact that they've missed out on this great bonus. So I'm not a massive fan of having those disappearing bonuses. But a good way to use bonuses is actually start with none on your sales page. Trust that your product is strong enough to stand on its own, and that those eager beavers who have been waiting for the cart to be open are going to buy whether there are bonuses there or not. And then add in bonuses to get people on board. And as you add the bonuses in, the people who bought early, they'll get those bonuses too. So nobody's missing out, and everybody who pays the same price is getting exactly the same product at the end. But in that mid-launch period, you're able to persuade people who are kind of on the fence to jump aboard. That is a really mixed metaphor. You can persuade those people who are on the fence to make a decision, because now you're giving them something even more attractive by adding in bonuses. Now you might want to do like 3 bonuses and drip release them during the launch period, but that is going to take a serious level of preparation and stamina. If you can only think of 1 bonus to add, that will help. And I like to add, well, I like to suggest, I don't actually do it myself, but I like to suggest an objection overcoming bonus. So this is something where when we look at someone offering a solution, so if we've had a problem for a really long time and someone's offering a solution to that, in the back of our head is a little voice that says, oh, but I am so special and my problem is so much worse than any problem you've ever encountered. My case is unique and you'll never crack it, and I'm special for these reasons. And the objection overcoming bonus is to take, like, what is the most common thing that's in the back of their head that's making them feel like, oh no, I'm a specially difficult person for you to fix, and create bonus materials just targeted to those people. So the example I've got written down is, because I've worked with quite a lot of fertility coaches. I seem to like attract certain waves of business, but fertility coaching is one that comes to me a fair amount. So if you were launching some kind of fertility coaching program or fertility membership group or something, then or you had like a program that would help people maximize their fertility, there might be a particular objection that says, oh, but I've got polycystic ovary syndrome, so it's not going to work for me because I've been told this, that and the other. So people who have been given a very specific label of why they're struggling to conceive will have their own set of concerns and think that I'm such a difficult case, you're not going to crack me. And in that case, you would create a bonus that was specifically tailored to people who already had that diagnosis, and it would be value add because there's extra things that you would tell them to do, or extra supplements to take, or diets to try, or whatever that's unique to their situation. But by adding that bonus in, you get the attention of that group of people, and you're saying, yeah, I know you have a special set of circumstances, and I thought about that, and this program will work for you, but to make sure that it is especially effective for you, I've added in this bonus. And you could do that for all sorts of different objections. That was just the one that popped into my head at the time. If you are struggling to come up with something that would work for your audience, you're always welcome to post in the Facebook group, in the Right with Fortitude Facebook group, and I'm happy to have a look and see if we can come up with some ideas of objection bonuses that would work mid-launch. But I feel like I like the idea because if you're in that mid-launch lull, it can feel really awkward and you kind of get a bit frantic and what can I do to drive up sales. So it's nice if you've already prepared this beforehand so that you know, okay, day 3 might be a bit quiet, so I'm going to add this bonus in and see what happens. And it just gives you something positive to do, and that will also help with managing your mindset during the launch period, which is so important. So that was my four things that you can do during the mid-launch lull, which is a real thing and takes patience and energy to survive. You know, you're always welcome to post in the group when you're launching something and you need someone to hold your hand, or if you're having a mid-launch lull, we can see if there are any ideas that like the hive mind can come up with to help you get through that period. So that's it for this video. If you would like to find out when other videos are up and live, or when I post other content into the group, make sure you go up to the notifications section of this group and set the settings, preferably to all if you can handle that, or at least to highlights. That will hopefully get my posts in your feed more often. It's a bit of a bit hit and miss at the moment, I think. And also, whenever you like or comment on a post in this group, then that will make it more likely that will show up in your feed, so you never miss the good stuff from us. And also, if you signed up to the Worditude newsletter, I'll put a link in the description. Then I send out at the end of each week, or early Monday, late Sunday, I'll send a roundup of the best content that I've created, or the best discussions that have happened in this group as well. So thank you so much for watching. I'll also add in, I've got a freebie that's about launching that you might find helpful. If you've watched this video and launching is relevant to you, then the launching freebie should be helpful. So I'll add a link to that in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great weekend. Bye.